Russian soldiers caught off guard by FPV drones. Ambush of Ukrainian soldiers. Warplanes hitting Russian military bases. Russian soldiers who chose to surrender rather than die. Beach landing operations. Secret bunker raids. Kamikaze attacks. Stay tuned for more. June 13th, 2025. Ukrainian 53rd Mechanized Brigade drones continue to attack logistics routes used by Russian forces. Ukrainian forces' fiber optic FPV drone targets a Russian vehicle. An experienced drone pilot passes through the network barrier built as a precaution against drones on the logistics route and pursues the Russian armored vehicle. The vehicle being followed by the UAV is a Russian ATMA-5-4 320 fuel tanker. The drone successfully carries out a kamikaze attack on the target. You can support us by liking and commenting on the video. Ukraine has attacked Russian trenches near the village of Zherobyanki, Zaporizhzhia region. Attacking with an FPV kamikaze drone, Ukrainian forces detect and destroy Russian infantry. 13th June 2025. Ukrainian forces attacked the Russian trenches with a drone. In the trench, the search is made to detect Russian soldiers. Shortly after, 2 Russian soldiers are identified in the trench. The bomb carried by the FPV drone was thrown on top of the soldiers. One Russian soldier lost his life in the explosion, while the other managed to survive. The Russian infantryman notices the kamikaze drone coming to shoot him down, but desperately takes cover where he is. June 12th, 2025. Ukrainian forces struck Russian communication systems using an FPV drone. In the next phase of the operation, Ukraine's 36th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade launched an FPV kamikaze attack against Russian infantry detected near the Donetsk region. A lone Russian soldier, caught by himself, has left his shelter and is wandering around, completely unaware of what's about to happen. Kamikaze drone shoots the Russian troops and the soldier immediately dies there. 2 other Russian soldiers spot the drone watching them. They immediately start looking for cover. However, Ukraine's drone attack begins shortly after. With the drone attack, 2 Russian soldiers scattered to different places and hid in ruins. FPV drones carrying high explosives hit every building the soldiers entered. Detecting the presence of other Russian soldiers in the houses where Russian soldiers are hiding, Ukrainian forces carry out FPV kamikaze drone attacks on all houses. Within hours, more than 10 Russian soldiers are neutralized by drones. Numerous Russian bunkers are destroyed. June 12th, 2025. A group of Russian soldiers was detected by drones from Ukraine's 40th Coastal Defense Brigade. The Russian troops were moving toward Ukrainian defensive positions in a boat. Their aim was to launch a surprise raid and push Ukrainian forces out of the area. However, along the river route, they were met with mortar attacks from Ukrainian forces. Panicking and unsure of what to do, the Russian soldiers eventually abandoned the boat and tried to escape on foot. But Ukrainian FPV drones struck them, neutralizing the soldiers. The Russian soldiers, caught off guard by the Ukrainian mortar attack, were left confused and unsure of what to do. Eventually, they decided to flee into the nearby forest. Ukrainian drone operators first destroyed the boat with a strike, then launched FPV drones that targeted and hit the fleeing soldiers one by one. 5 Russian soldiers lost their lives in this unsuccessful raid attempt by Russian forces. June 9th, 2025. Russian Kar-52 helicopter attacks Ukrainian positions. A Ukrainian soldier tries to shoot down the helicopter from a trench with a portable air defense system. He is unable to hit the helicopter, but manages to repel the attack. The Russian helicopter withdraws from the area. A Russian tank is attacking the Ukrainian trenches near the village of Robotyne, Zaporizhzhia region. The Russian tank T-72 continues its relentless attack on the Ukrainian soldiers. All this is being watched by drones. The kamikaze drone belonging to the Ukrainian forces is waiting for the best position to hit the Russian tank. The drone finally finds a suitable attack position. The kamikaze attack hits the tank's engine compartment. The Russian tank is blown up and destroyed by the drone attack. June 7, 2025. 2 Russian soldiers trying to escape a mortar attack by Ukrainian forces were struck by an FPV kamikaze drone. June 9, 2025. Russian ammunition and fuel depots were detected in the village of Novozlatopil, Zaporizhia region. A Ukrainian MiG-29 destroyed a hangar with Russian ammunition and fuel, as well as a building where enemy drone operators were located, with 2 bombs. The building, destroyed by the explosion of the ammunition depot, continued to burn for hours. This critical attack was a major logistical loss for the Russian forces. June 7, 2025. 2 Russian tanks made a sudden raid on the trenches of Ukrainian troops east of the village of Torska. Ukrainian forces launched a FPV drone to stop the tanks, which opened fire on Ukrainian positions for half an hour. FPV kamikaze drone targeted Russian tank at the front. The tanks continued to move down the road in a line, one after the other. Ukrainian FPV kamikaze drone manages to hit the front tank. This accurate hit does not completely destroy the tank, but it suffers serious damage. June 6, 2025. Ukraine's 92nd Assault Brigade falls into an ambush set up by Russian soldiers while advancing in vehicles. Initially panicked, the Ukrainian troops immediately begin returning fire. Ukrainian soldiers are trapped in open ground. Russian soldiers are firing from a very distant point through the trees. Ukrainian soldiers are making a great effort to get out of the area. Thanks to the heavy machine guns on the armored vehicles, they managed to respond with serious counterfire. The Ukrainian soldiers managed to retreat and escape the ambush without being able to advance without suffering losses. June 13, 2025. Russian soldiers are surrendering to troops from Ukraine's 63rd Brigade in the direction of Lyman. In their attempt to capture Torsky, Russian forces are deploying their troops in small groups across open terrain. These units are left without any logistical support, no food, no water, and no ammunition for weeks. Stuck with no ability to advance and no hope of resupply, morale has collapsed. Faced with the prospect of dying in vain, many Russian soldiers are choosing to surrender instead. Upon encountering surrendering troops, Ukrainian soldiers first secure the area. Those who refuse to surrender or attempt to resist are swiftly neutralized. After establishing control, the Ukrainians escort the prisoners on a long and difficult march back to their command post. What stands out is that not all the captives are ethnic Russians. Among the prisoners are Uzbek, Chinese, and other foreign soldiers, highlighting how the Russian military continues to deploy troops from various ethnic and national backgrounds on the front lines. In the Zaporizhia region, in the village of Priutne, a warehouse containing artillery shells belonging to Russian forces was identified. Shortly after detection, the warehouse was destroyed by drones. Mistakes like these have caused Russian troops to suffer significant ammunition losses throughout the war. June 11, 2025. The first target is a military truck. The Ukrainian 63rd Mechanized Brigade destroys Russian vehicles with FPV drones. A military vehicle full of soldiers is now the target. Another Russian vehicle, camouflaged and hidden in the forest, also cannot escape the drone attack. Motorcycles, one of the most common vehicles used by Russian soldiers in the field, are also destroyed. All Russian military vehicles, whether moving or parked, are being hit one by one. More than 10 military vehicles were destroyed in this operation, which was aimed at restricting the movement of Russian soldiers. The Ukrainian 110th Mechanized Brigade detected Soviet multiple rocket launchers. An attack was launched on Russian armored vehicles that had been firing rockets at Ukrainian defensive positions from behind the front for a long time. Russian rocket systems hit by unmanned aerial vehicles are being destroyed one by one. The rocket ammunition in the exploding vehicles also causes a huge explosion with the attack. Ukrainian forces continue to intensify their operations along the front line, focusing heavily on trench assaults and the destruction of Russian vehicles. Using a combination of drone reconnaissance and coordinated artillery fire, Ukrainian units are systematically targeting fortified Russian positions. Assault teams, supported by FPV drones and precision strikes, have launched direct attacks on enemy trenches, clearing defensive lines and disrupting supply routes. Meanwhile, Russian armored vehicles caught near these positions are being destroyed with anti-tank weapons and drone-dropped explosives. Burned-out wrecks now mark areas where Ukrainian forces have struck with devastating accuracy.